Sharp Game here, coming at you from ChooseYourRelationship.com. And today I'm going to talk about inside secrets of white men. Inside secrets of white men. And this goes back to me being in the military like 20 years ago. So imagine going from a small town of about 100,000 people, and now you're going to a city with probably 5-6 million people at the time. And this is 20 years ago. And I'm 20 years old. Only place I've ever been is New York City. So you got women everywhere. It's cold as shit. So I go to the Great Lakes. Which is the suburbs of Chicago. So I do 2 months there. Then I get 2 weeks vacation. Then I go straight to Tokyo, Japan. Now, this is my first time leaving the country. I mean, I've never even been to a major city. New York City was the first big city I've ever been to. So I'm like, it's like a culture shock for me. I go from small town in South Carolina to Chicago, then Chicago to Tokyo. So I'm like, I'm not used to no shit like this. I never seen nothing like this before. I never even seen women like this before. So I'm young, full of energy, love to have a good time, which is cool. Nothing wrong with that. However, I noticed that when I first reported to my duty station at the time, I went straight to an aircraft carrier, which is like a city on the ocean itself. It holds about 5,000 people. And most of my coworkers were white men, to be exact. So what happened, we used to hang out after work sometimes in the beginning, because I didn't really know anybody in the beginning. I probably knew one person, So we used to hang out after work sometimes. And being that they've been in Japan much longer than me, I just figured that I just assumed they knew more than me. But a lot of them didn't really leave the base. They just stayed on the base, which was cool at the time, because I didn't know my way around the base either. So that helped me out a lot. But I noticed something. When we went off the base, white guys were allowed to basically get away with a lot of shit. Not only did they get away with a lot of shit off base, they got away with a lot of shit when we pulled into other countries, because at the time we went to Singapore, Australia, Korea, Guam, the city of Bahrain. Where else we went to at the time? We went to like 2 spots in Australia, Sydney and Perth, and we went to Dubai. So we went to all these cities and countries within a 3-month time frame. And I noticed that there's a huge double standard. And it's kind of hypnotic, and nobody really talks about it in American society or anywhere for that matter. No one really talks about it. But it's kind of like, it's really a strange scenario that plays out. Because what happens is, when we used to get off the ship, there used to always be women on, just over the deck. There'd be hundreds of women sometimes thousands. Like when we went to Australia, there were thousands of women waiting for us to walk across the brow to get off the ship. And I noticed there was this thing where it's like, when we got off the ship, most white guys thought that they were supposed to have girls by default. They thought the girls just automatically wanted to be with them, which happened a lot, right? But after a while, I noticed that when the girls warm up to me, they kind of had a problem with that. Which was, at the time, me being so young, I didn't understand what the problem was. In the beginning, I didn't know it was a problem. It took me about probably like a month to really catch on what the deal really was, because somebody else brought it to my attention. So white guys got this, a lot of white guys, not all, but there's a lot of them, got this thing where it's like, you're not supposed to have any girls. And if your girl can't look better than mine, and even if you, and even some cases, they'll put salt in your game and start hating on you if you hang around them long enough, or if they can get close to the women and drop a bug in their ear, or just tell them something to turn them off against you or something like that. So I've learned this I had this experience at an early age. And what happens is, when I got out, I used to tell people some of my stories. And I noticed that a lot of people didn't respond well. And I didn't understand that either, because you had blacks and whites that I used to tell some of I call it my old Navy stories too. And white people, they got uncomfortable, which they usually do. And black people, they got uncomfortable too. No, black people, they got upset, mostly. But I noticed that the women, the non-white women, mostly, because some of the stories I used to tell, it was black women. I told it to black women, Asian women, Latin women. So I used to ask myself, why would anybody get upset because of some experiences that I've had in the past, but it don't have anything to do with them? And this goes back to the white guys, because white guys are allowed to do and say almost anything in society. And when it's my turn to do something or say something, they want to change the rules. You see, they set the bar high for me and low for the white guys. And I noticed that a lot of white guys they say anything to these women. It's not all white guys, but it's a lot of them. They say anything rude, disrespectful. And a lot of women, they'll go along with it because they feel like, because they know on some level that white guys have an advantage over everyone else. So they feel like white guys can do no wrong. So they'll say and do whatever. And when it comes to me, the rules change because there's a double standard. And a lot of white guys in America have caught on to it. So much so that a lot of them are taking jobs all over Asia. They're teaching English and whatever other job they can get. You might have a white guy that live in Kansas or Indiana somewhere. You know, he can go to some place like China. He can change his life within months, within 6 months. Have a whole new life. Beautiful Chinese woman. She'll talk to him just because he's a white man, especially if he has blonde hair and blue eyes. Because there's this thing in Asia and all across Africa and a lot of these countries. There's this thing they call white worship, and it's real. Some people call it whitewash or brainwash, but it's real. And a lot of these women, if you have blonde hair and blue eyes, you're the next thing closest to Jesus Christ to them. So they'll do whatever. It doesn't matter. But when it comes my turn, the rules change. Oh, you gotta do a background check. Yeah, you gotta ask questions. You gotta come up with a reason why I can't be associated with you, or why I can't get the job and all this crap. It happens in places like, it doesn't happen in all countries, but it happens in places like China. It happens. Of course, there's always exception to the rule, but it happens in a lot of these countries, man. Well, white guys, they have the benefit of the doubt, and they're allowed to do crime and break laws all the time. And as a matter of fact, the stuff that you see on television, that ain't shit. I've seen and heard worse stuff, being that I was in the military. And I'm talking average white guys. I'm not even talking about rich or top 1%ers. I mean, a white guy can get away with murder and be rewarded, get rich. I mean, white guys white cop might murder somebody, and a couple of weeks later, somebody start a Kickstarter page, and they just raised $500,000, $1 million. I mean, that doesn't happen for anybody else. That doesn't happen. So, and you can't live in America. I don't think anybody, I think a blind man can see that if you're a white guy, you have an advantage. I mean, it's impossible for you not to see it. I mean, unless you're a butt kisser. And there's a lot of butt kissing women out here. So, I know guys that actually struggle every week with their job or some type of bullshit they got going on, something they going through with their job, and they try to go home and talk to their wives about what happened, and the wife usually downplay it if it involves a white guy. And this is very common in American society. They kind of just don't want to face reality because they give white guys the benefit of the doubt. So what happens with a lot of married guys, once they figure out that they can't talk to their wives about stuff that's going on with their job, they got to go talk to another woman about their problems. And a lot of women will take advantage of that, and they'll start sleeping with the guy. You know? And the wife finds out about it. If she finds out about it, she's upset because, oh, you're going to talk to another woman, blah, blah, blah. But she gave the white guys the benefit of the doubt, but she didn't give you the benefit of the doubt, and you married to her, and you probably sleep with her every night, same bed. So you see how that works? That's the double standard that I'm talking about. There's a double standard in society, really around the world. It's very hypnotic. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everyone gets up uncomfortable, including black people. White people, they damn sure get uncomfortable. They get uncomfortable about anything. Anything that goes against the status quo, they get upset, uncomfortable, upset. You know? Because the system is set up by white guys, for white guys. System's not set up for non-white people. Now, maybe you can work the system, but you're not going to be able to play the game like white guys do. And a lot of people that come over here from other countries, they learn that the hard way because they try to follow white people, white guys in particular. Then a lot of these non-white people get into trouble. And I actually experimented a lot and test out a lot of things that I saw white guys do while I was in the Navy. And a lot of it backfired. Over 90% of it backfired. Because I'm not Caucasian. I'm not white. And people don't look at you. They didn't look at me the same. Even in social situations. Because white guys, they basically talk to women. The average white guy talk to women. They basically say whatever they want. Really. And most women, they laugh it off or kiss ass or whatever. And I tried doing the same thing and it didn't work. So that's when I came to a conclusion. I just gotta be me. Stay in my own lane. And live my own truth. And at the end of the day, either you're in or you're out. I'm not going to jump through no hoops for you to be with me, because if white guys ain't doing it, I ain't doing it either. So ever since, basically about 15, 20 years ago, I just came to the conclusion it's just best to be yourself from day one. Don't try to overcompensate for anything. Don't try to follow anybody. You gotta have your own rules and live by them and stand for something or fall for anything. Because there's a double standard in this society around the world, really. And white guys have the upper hand and most of them will never admit to it. They'll just act like it doesn't exist, or they'll come up with a reason why you're wrong, or try to dispute it in some type of way. So that's been my experience. So if you like what you heard, subscribe to my channel. Check out my blog, chooseyourrelationships.com. Until next time, Sharp Game is out. Peace.